So it is March 12th, 2020. We just walked down to the waterfront from our Airbnb in Montenegro. It's beautiful, crisp morning. But we are flying today out of Dubrovnik Airport, and we just found out that the NBA has suspended their gameplay until further notice for the season, and that Tom Hanks has coronavirus.
Yes.
So it's a bit of a flying during the coronavirus era is going to be interesting. We're going to share our story with you today, how it goes. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Our 19-hour travel day would be broken into 3 legs. The first leg would be from Kotor, Montenegro, which is the scenery you're seeing now, up to Dubrovnik International Airport in Dubrovnik, Croatia. There we would hop on our first flight of the day from Dubrovnik to Barcelona, Spain. From Barcelona, we would head further west over to Porto, Portugal, which would be our final destination for the day. Stay tuned to hear our story about traveling during the coronavirus pandemic. So we just got done with our bus trip to the Dubrovnik airport. They put us out on the side of the road. And now we're gonna see if we can get in early. Chatted with some folks from Ukraine and from the capital of Montenegro as well. And a lady from the Ukraine was saying a lot of, basically everything got shut down in Ukraine, schools, etc. The guy from Montenegro was saying that really hasn't impacted them at all much. And us living there last month, we would definitely agree with that.
Yeah, I didn't really hear anything about it.
We saw the border guards, they had masks on. And we'll get into the whole science of things. It doesn't matter if you wear a mask if you don't have it. We'll talk about that and World Health Organization recommendations, so stay tuned for that. But we're out here in front of the airport. It's also kind of fun. We've never walked to an airport, so
Our bus driver just dumped us out front. So we're gonna cross our fingers our travel plans go well. We have 1 hurdle of 3 done so far. We're at the airport.
stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
So not really sure if it's exclusively just it being the off season or if it's also a bit of coronavirus scare going on, but there's no one here. This is Dubrovnik International Airport, and it is off season. It is March, but we're talking very few people. We've seen probably 12, 15 people in here.
Yeah, I think half are workers. I've never been to an airport this deserted.
Except for Minot, North Dakota, but that's because it's Minot, North Dakota.
Yeah.
We did notice that there was a good sign, a sign that was good, explaining wash your hands, don't touch your face, etc. So there are at least information campaigns going on here to educate people about what not to do, what to do to stay safe with coronavirus. So Rachel and I were discussing that we might not have ever seen an airport this seasonal. It's a whole duty-free store that's just getting constructed before the busy season starts. So it's not just coronavirus, it's just off season.
It took us 10 minutes to get through everything, including bag check and security.
I'm not exaggerating. There's like 25 passengers in this airport. So I do want to tell you something before you get Wi-Fi. And it's that I read online this morning that there's a 30-day ban of flights coming into the United States.
You're lying.
Unfortunately, I'm not.
What? You waited all day to tell me.
I wanted you to enjoy our morning as much as possible.
Can't fly into the United States.
Not directly from Europe, but we can see what other options there are.
No, Renee just sent me a message, so.
Yeah. So we just are thinking about the travel ban that has been imposed for flights from Europe, which interestingly were not in the Schengen zone, which is the body of countries that have been put on the travel ban. We are outside of that. We're in Montenegro. Well, we're in Croatia now, which is still out of it. So now we're thinking, should we maybe just fly straight home instead of going to Porto? And we're going to do a little research to see what that looks like. So just a quick update. We thought about it a little bit, and we are considering maybe changing our flights. We're going to go talk to the airline and see what that looks like cancellation wise, considering just going straight to the US or to a non-Schengen zone country, because those are the countries that are under the travel ban. So we're going to get a little more information and determine what we want to do. So stick with us on our coronavirus journey.
Charlie Bravo. Dobra, czekaj.
All right, so update. After some research, we figured out that we can get back in the United States, so we're going to go back through security. We just entered our bag back, so we'll see if we make it to Porto. So a lot's happened. We did some research and found out that only foreign nationals are part of the travel ban from Schengen zone. U.S. nationals are not part of the travel ban. You might be subject to specific screenings, certain screenings, and have to go through specific airports on your re-entry. However, you can re-enter. So, unfortunately, it took us going back out of security, having them get our bag just for us, and then talking to an American lady from Dallas who said the information about U.S. nationals, which changed everything, because now we know we can get back home when we want to. We're not going to be stuck somewhere. So we decided to go to Porto.
We're doing it.
And we went through security twice.
Luckily, it's an easy airport, and now the plane's waiting on just us. Oops.
Yeah, we're the only ones on the transport here. Oh dear, what a day. We made it onto the plane, barely.
Put hair on her chin.
We were the last two people on.
Welcome on board. We are now getting...
Also, this is what the bus looks like here in Barcelona.
But we have had a stressful day, so it was nice to just kick back, sit in some comfy chairs, and charge our phones and just relax, really.
Yeah.
I can play my fish game on the airplane. Important things here.
Life's good.
We're headed to Portugal, which is also really fun.
So we just got into Porto, Portugal, our final destination for the day. Whoop, whoop. And had a great priority pass experience at Barcelona. Again, it's a great airport, we feel. And since being on the plane on the way over here, we did see a bit of an uptick in people wearing masks. Again, that doesn't matter unless you actually have the virus. and lots of hand sanitizer usage, which is great. Have seen a placard indicating some of the best practices for coronavirus since we've arrived. And we're gonna see what else we see in this airport, but pretty good education, I would say, in all 3 airports thus far on coronavirus. Hey everybody, we made it to Porto, Portugal. Thanks for sticking with us through our day of travel during the coronavirus pandemic. It can be scary and there's lots of misinformation out there. So we wanted to take a second and just comb through some of the best practices from an excellent source, the World Health Organization. And I'm going to put the URL from the information I'm about ready to read to you at the bottom of the screen. So feel free to go over there and see it for yourself. These are the best practices that Rachel and I employed yesterday while traveling, and that we would also recommend for you to do if you're traveling internationally during this time. So I'm going to read straight from the site. So allow me to begin. Hang tight. Recommendations for international travelers. It's prudent for travelers who are sick to delay or avoid travel to affected areas. In particular, for elderly travelers and people with chronic diseases or underlying health conditions. General recommendations for personal hygiene, cough etiquette, and keeping a distance of at least 1 meter from persons showing symptoms remain particularly important for all travelers. These include perform hand hygiene frequently, particularly after contact with respiratory secretions. Hand hygiene includes either cleaning hands with soap and water or with an alcohol-based hand rub. Alcohol-based hand rubs are preferred if hands are not visibly soiled. Wash hands with soap and water when they are visibly soiled. Cover your nose and mouth with a flexed elbow or paper tissue when coughing or sneezing, and disposing immediately of the tissue and performing hand hygiene. Refrain from touching mouth and nose. A medical mask is not required if exhibiting no symptoms, as there is no evidence that wearing a mask of any type protects non-sick persons. However, in some cultures, masks may be commonly worn. If masks are to be worn, it is critical to follow best practices on how to wear, remove, and dispose of them, and on hand hygiene after removal. So what happens when you get home? They go on to talk about that. Travelers returning from affected areas should self-monitor for symptoms for 14 days and follow national protocols for receiving countries. Some countries may require returning travelers to enter quarantine. If symptoms occur, such as fever or cough or difficulty breathing, travelers are advised to contact local healthcare providers, preferably by phone, and inform them of their symptoms and their travel history. For travelers identified at points of entry, it is recommended to follow WHO, World Health Organization, advice for the management of travelers at point of entry. So thanks for staying tuned for that brief reading from the World Health Organization. There's a lot of great info on here. So if you're planning on traveling soon, just some of the things that you can see on the website, recommendations for international travelers. They get very into detail. General recommendations for all countries. And then they drill down on hygiene practices and just a general wealth of knowledge. So choose your sources wisely during this time. It is important to be concerned with your health and safety, but panic really doesn't help anyone, right? So get educated and do your part to be an informed citizen and a responsible citizen. So thanks for joining us, and we hope that you have learned a little bit about coronavirus, and hopefully our story of traveling internationally, in fact on the day the travel ban was announced, helps you understand that it's still possible, and with some best practices, you can be safe and healthy on your next time traveling, even if it's in the near future. Thanks for joining.